just had a baby, hooray! And your body has been through quite a lot over the last 9, possibly 10 months if you were lucky enough, leaving many mums wondering when it's safe to exercise after having their baby. So Emily, please tell me, how long after birth can women start exercising?
It's such a hard question because it completely depends on the woman. So I have some friends who are straight back into like full-on exercising, 3 to 4 weeks postpartum, and then some women who are 6 months down the track and not necessarily able to exercise to their full capacity. So it depends on quite a few factors, obviously depending on how traumatic your birth was and how much damage there's been to your pelvic floor muscles. If you've had a C-section, then you're obviously looking at recovery time for that as well. But if you've got any abdominal separation, or there's also other little things like if you're really fatigued and you're not sleeping well, and whether you just physically don't have the time. So there's a lot of different things that can affect when it's okay to go back.
It depends on your baby too, because some babies you just can't put down.
Exactly right. They physically can't get out to do.
Yeah, you just use your baby as a weight.
Exactly, yeah.
So talking about using your baby as a weight, what exercises are actually safe?
So again, safe exercises is really dependent on the individual. So I can have one woman who has a pelvic floor that, has been trashed when they've, had a baby, and there are going to be exercises that they should not be doing. So,
jumping on a trampoline.
Jumping on a trampoline is definitely one of them, and particularly because during the period of time postpartum, there's a lot of healing going on, and we actually have hormones in our system still from the pregnancy, particularly if you're breastfeeding, which actually make all of the connective tissue in your body a lot looser. So your body's actually in a really vulnerable state at that point in time. So it's sort of a time where you want to be babying your body a little bit as well.
Yeah. And just give it a break. It's already had such a wonderful experience being pregnant and growing a baby, and now it's just going to take time.
Exactly. And I think a lot of women sort of go, all right, a C-section is going to be like the long recovery, but what most women don't realise is that giving birth vaginally is a really traumatic experience for the body, and it does need that time as well to heal up and bounce back to how it was before. And
even if the labour was easy, it still is a huge thing, pushing a baby out, and it does take time for it to recover and go back to how it was, or better.
Exactly, yeah. And some women will never get back to exactly how it was, but that's, I suppose, the role of a physio to be able to determine, what can and can't be done, and what's going to be safe for your pelvic floor, and
So how can physiotherapy help then?
So generally what I like to do postpartum, regardless of what your delivery was or whether you had a C-section, is to do an internal exam, have a look at the abdominal muscles and have a look and see how the core is working, just so we can get a good idea of what's actually going on with your pelvic floor and your pelvic organs, because sometimes we can have damage to the pelvic organs that aren't severe enough to sort of be flagged as like a problem by, an obstetrician or your GP at the time, but could just be mild enough that if you did continue on with some crazy exercise, it could become a problem later.
Yes.
So I always think it's worth, coming in 6 weeks postpartum, roundabout, depending on how you're feeling, have that exam, see what the current situation is, and then at least it can be determined from there, what's going to be safe for you and what's not. And I find that, with my patients, it tends to be quite, specific to them. So, I might say, okay, you'll be fine to go for walks and hikes, but I don't want you jumping on a trampoline, or you can do weights.
Running.
Yeah, you can do weights laying down, but not standing up, so it really depends on how well they're able to use their pelvic floor afterwards and what their current core strength is and everything as well.
So there you have it. Having a baby is, one of those things that does give your body an experience of a lifetime. So while you may be ready to jump back into exercising, be sure to check with a physiotherapist such as the wonderful team at Proactive Physiotherapy to see if you're ready physically and mentally, of course, just to be on the safe side.